So that'll be this afternoon probably.
No, it's going to be this morning. Billy wanted to kill time this morning because he didn't have a long script. So he asked me for that stuff, and I gave him the stuff on the script.
So,
And I got him coming this morning. I went, hey, around all morning long, when they were told they were going to get this and then come to the luncheon.
so he's going to write a script page for you to put in the appropriate place.
All right.
Will that work?
Yeah.
All we really got to do is call Lori up and have her do the presentation from here, and then you come down here and hand it to them and introduce it.
So basically, all he's got to do is ask Lori for a special place to come up with. We'll write it up so we have it in front of us.
Just give it to Lori, I guess. Lori Bowman?
Well, you need to, yeah, it'll be Lori. She'll
Okay.
get the script, but
Okay.
you need to have something here to remind you when to call her.
Yeah, no, listen, it says here that I just start talking. I think we should secure the door, start the Smith
Oh, yeah,
Memorial
yeah.
Service.
I think that, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and put these over here.
All right, we're getting ready to begin the memorial service. Would everyone please find their seat? And Sergeant at Arms, secure the doors. Thank you. Each year during our state convention, we pause to honor those legionnaires and veterans who have preceded us to the post everlasting. It is through their inspiration that we continue onward, fulfilling the obligations we feel for one another. Thank you for being here this morning to pay tribute to these men and women who have served our state and nation so well. We will now hear the playing of the national anthem. At this time, I call upon members of the 19 Club and past Department Commander Rodney Strong, who was asked by the 99 Club to fulfill the role so ably performed by the late past Department Commander Harold Epley.
Welcome, fellow veterans and fellow citizens. For many years, we have paused during our state convention proceedings to honor and remember those who gave their lives for our nation. While we have great moments dedicated to Hoosier veterans, it is only through the personal remembrance and understanding of their sacrifice that we can ensure our future freedoms. By recalling the supreme sacrifice of others, those of us enjoying the liberties of the United States can rededicate our lives to continue noble purposes. Through remembrances, we are forced to recall the lessons of history past. And through remembrance, we are reminded that our younger generations deserve to know the lessons of the past. We must ensure that the thousands of Hoosiers who gave their lives can rest internally, knowing that the cause has not been abandoned. For we continue our quest for peace, freedom, and service to God and country through our Legion lives and work. We are rededicated ourselves to ensure the security of the widows, orphans of these veterans, and indeed to all veterans who need our helping hand. Department Commander Alan Conley and Auxiliary President Jenny Mon, please advance and place the memorial wreath. I ask those of you in attendance today to join me in a silence with bowed heads in memory of those who have made the supreme sacrifice and have answered the call of the great commander of all divisions. Please recover. I now call on President Mon for her remarks.
Symbolic of the simple resting place of one who has served our country is the white cross, surmounted by the helmet which you see in front of me. Physically, it is the key element in a temporary shrine. Spiritually, those of us viewing it today will retain its memory as long as such remembrance remains part of our being. Centered in the temporary shrine is the symbol of the vessel of light, exuding its flame of the eternal existence of the spirit of man. By the symbolism of the eternal flame of life, we today make known to all nations of the earth the faith of the American people in the Creator, through those whose guidance and solicitude this great country has come into being. As long as we, His people, walk in His path and obey His precepts, the future of our beloved land is assured. On the other side of the symbolic flame of eternal life rises the flag of an unbeatable and imperishable America. Proudly it waves its majesty, denoting defiance to its common foes of evil and aggression. It was the privilege and duty of the patriotic Americans being memorialized today to lay down their lives in the service of the United States of America. By such sacrifice, they likewise served, in a worldwide sense, the hundreds of millions of our fellow men who seek to preserve the freedoms as they know such blessings in their own countries and communities. Thus, our tribute today is more than merely recognition of service to country alone. Encompassed within its observance is the knowledge that they, whose embodiment of spirit rests before us, contributed their lives to the service of all mankind. With some light paraphrasing, the Requiem of Robert Louis Stevenson portrays better than any words of mine the spirit of the veterans whose souls and deeds we memorialize here today. Under the wide and starry sky, dig the grave and let me lie. Glad did I live and gladly die, and laid me down with a will.
Thank you, Madam President Mon. It is now my privilege to present Department Commander Alan Connolly for a eulogy. Commander? Yes, ma'am.
Words may not heal the remorse of having lost a son, daughter, husband, neighbor, or friend. But we can review the lives of those who have given so greatly for our country. We can bear pride in their service to our nation and know that from their ultimate sacrifice, our lives have progressed. Those who served and died over there, the many who perished in the Second Great War, the soldiers of Pork Chop Hill and Inchon, the veterans who fought for our ideals in Vietnam, the veterans of Beirut, Grenada, Panama, and those who did serve and who are now serving in the Persian Gulf. Indeed, all veterans who have given to this nation a chance for new life. That new life is evident in our very existence today, for we are not cowering under the rules of fanatical Nazism. We do not worship a pretender emperor god. We are not subject to the whims of religious tyranny. Our nation continues to be the flagship of freedom for the planet Earth. We retain our rights of the Constitution. Our citizens honor God in their own way. We enjoy freedoms that are little thought of in our daily lives, and yet they would be sorely missed if they were suddenly gone. So it is this, to these men and women, those veterans of the past, to our veterans of the future, that we turn our thoughts and thanks. We give thanks for all that we are. We give thanks for all that America has been and will be, and we know in our hearts it was through their service and sacrifice that our future will continue to be bright under the democratic rule of the people. The citizens of the entire world are the debtors of our nation's veterans for what they have given.
Thank you, Commander. Commander, it is also my sad duty to report that we have lost many members among our ranks during the past year. Honoring their memory, we will now conduct our post-everlasting ceremony. I would ask all present to please remain silent. The brazier being in place, the equipment for the ceremony being in place, we will proceed. This moment is sacred with the almost visible presence of those who have gone before. We come to honor the memories of those who offered their lives in the service of their country and who are now enrolled in the great spiritual army, whose footfalls cause no sound, but whose souls in the memory of man go marching on, sustaining by the private service in time of war. Because of them, our lives are free. Because of them, our nation lives. And because of them, this world is blessed. May this service strengthen our reverences for our departed comrades. J. David Burnett, Jr., will you please place a symbolic American Legion cap on the rifles? This is in remembrance of our departed comrades in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, all of the armed forces that were represented. I will now ask our Comrade Chaplain Norris Kern to please offer prayer.
Let us be in an attitude of prayer. Eternal and gracious God, you who are giver of life, and you who are there at the time of our death, we call upon you in this service of remembrance. For there's not a day that goes by that there's not at least one casket with a flag that comes home to America. Some followed by bullets an enemy fire, some by the accident or the calamity that happens in the transporting of troops and great equipment. These valiant people who serve our country and are willing to place their life on the line. When we gather, we're always mindful of our comrades who did not come back. And as we've continued in the life of the American Legion, we've formed new camaraderies in our post, in our districts, in our state, and our nation. And we remember at this point those who have fallen in the last year. Added to the natural attrition of life from death of different disease and aging and problems that take place, we've added those of the COVID pandemic. And there's not a post that has not been affected by that across our state. And so our numbers are greater this year than before. And we're also mindful of those who die by the invisible wounds of their war from various chemicals and various wars, various exposures that have taken place that take their toll in long effect. We remember these valiant comrades, and we give them over to you for your dominion in that eternal life that has no end. Grant peace and rest to those who have gone on before us, and make us ready for that hour. Strengthen and console all those who sorrow. And please bestow upon us your everlasting blessing, for we ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Comrade Wayne Zeman, please transmit this letter containing the service and Legion records of our departed comrades of Post Everlasting. And salute. Two. Please be seated. Commander, I wish to thank you on behalf of the 19 Club for allowing its members to conduct the memorial services again this year. They are just the latest in a long line of Legionnaires who have been privileged to conduct the service. The 99 Club, all officers who served with past Department Commander Harold Epley, inherited this privilege from the 71 Club, the officers who served with Commander Dale Cohn, who joined the procession to Post Everlasting more than a decade ago. It is particularly bittersweet to recall both Commander Kuhn and Epley. They showed the way, and we honored to walk in their very large footsteps. That concludes the memorial services, Commander. You're welcome. Thank you. Let me try and catch you up. You get it? There you go. Almost.
Thank you, Commander Strong and members of the 19 Club for that presentation. The convention will now come to order. Please join me in a salute to the colors. I guess I need to wrap you up there. And salute. 2. I now call on our Department Chaplain, Norris Kern, for the invocation.
Thank you, Commander. Let us be in an attitude of prayer. Gracious God, the weeping prophet Jeremiah in the 3rd chapter of Lamentations tells us that your mercies are new every morning. And he goes on to tell us how great is your faithfulness. So we gather this day, this great day in our convention, a day of honors, a day of awards, in your mercy, knowing that you have been faithful throughout the years, the decades, throughout our life. You've done so much for us, and you've given us this great association in the American Legion. We pray your blessing upon our convention this day, that what we do would bring glory to you in honor to distinguished people who have given so much to our community. As we gather this morning, we are mindful of brave young men and women across the globe in uniform, holding open the door of freedom, not only for our country, but for many of those who have never had freedom before. We especially ask you to watch over those who are in harm's way and watch over their families who keep the home fires going. And may we be there to assist and strengthen, as we always have, as the American Legion family. Now, bestow upon our commander your unction and his leadership, and we thank you for your blessings, for it is in your holy name that we ask and we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Kern, for not only for your participation this morning, but for all of your efforts on our behalf throughout the year. At this time, I would like to call on Internal Affairs Commission Chairman Paul Smith to announce the recipient of the 2021 Distinguished Public Service Award. You knew you were coming up there, right? What? You knew you were coming, right?
I have no idea. Thank you, Commander. Ladies and gentlemen, the first award today was designed to honor members of the American Legion General Assembly for outstanding service, commitment to issues of special concern to Hoosier veterans. We've been blessed as citizens to have many outstanding public servants over the years, and this year is no exception. Since their inception, these awards have become among the most highly prized Legion honors. Just like in the previous years, selecting this year's honorees was not easy. But I'm absolutely sure the legislators we are about to honor are well deserving of this award. The state legislators went above and beyond the work of the organization and a number of other veterans organizations over the last year to accomplish amazing things during the 2021 Indiana General Assembly legislative session. We are privileged to have him with us today and very proud of the work he has done, continuing to do for Hoosier veterans. Before I introduce him, would the Legislative Committee Chairman, Kenny Cooper, join the commander on the lower platform, and I will read you the inscription on the award. The inscription reads, the American Legion Department of Indiana's Distinguished Public Service Award, in recognition of distinguished and honorable service as a statesman, a proven leader of the Indiana General Assembly, a proponent of classic values, and an unwavering advocate for Hoosier veterans and their families. July 10th, 2021, the citation was signed by Department Commander Alan Conley. When called, please join Department Commander Conley and Legislative Chairman Cooper on the lower stage to accept your award, and you will be given an opportunity to say a few words about your work for veterans and families. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2021 Distinguished Public Service Award goes to State Representative Steve Bartlos.
Nobody's gonna remember that, but anyway.
Well, I won't take too much time up here. First mistake, you give a politician a little bit of time on a mic. That's only an outgoing commander would probably do that kind of thing. I want to say a couple things. This is just like any military deal. This was a team effort. You know, we can't do what we do in the legislature without a big team. So, you know, Chris Garton, Senator Garton, was a huge opponent of this. And just give you a little bit about myself, so you understand what my passion is. Of course, long history of military family. Grandfather in the Navy. My dad was killed in Vietnam in the Marine Corps, and I've done 22 years of military service. My oldest son is now in the National Guard as a combat medic, so you can see my passion's always going to be there. And this year was an interesting year, a little bit of controversial stuff. And I'll just leave you with this if you read some of those bills. You know, I think our duty is to help our veterans, and some of them need more help than others. And that's kind of what my passion was. And in listening to this, and real quick on this, you know, it was a little controversial, and I reached out to my dad's Vietnam buddy, and I said, what do you think about this? And he said this, and this just resonated. He goes, your dad would roll in his grave if you didn't help people and veterans that needed the help. And so that's kind of how I presented this, and what an honor, thank you very much. But like anything else, you just try to do your job, do it well, and I appreciate the recognition for it. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations, Representative Bartels.
Thank you, Chairman Smith. Each year, the Department of Indiana, through its PR committee, sponsors competition among our Post newsletter editors for the best publication. We seek to honor the men and women who work to ensure that their members are informed and that their Post programs and policies are well read and understood. We do so by presenting the Wayne L. Talbert Award. And I would ask the Internal Affairs Chairman to return to the mic. And that's you. That's me. So, okay. I'm going to step off stage for a little while. I'm going to ask Ernest Komasinski to take my place at the podium when so called. Thank you.
Roger Hilligoss, Chairman of Public Relations Committee, please join Department Commander on the lower platform to present the award. Newsletters are judged on several criteria, including compliance with accepted formats, neatness, cleanliness of the layout, and the use of photographs, and the proper use of art and graphics. Other considerations use reporting on the state and local programs, the coverage of post activities, news versus gossip, editorials, and other articles that serve to motivate post membership. I will now announce the winners. In the under 500 category, our Wayne Talbert Award goes to the 11th District, Beech Grove Post 276. Commander says, one of you guys is supposed to be up here. Just help him give the awards out. Get your picture taken a couple of times. In the over 500 category, there were no entries for 2021. Hang down there for a minute, we've got more awards to do. Okay. Next, I'm privileged to announce an award that recognizes one of the fastest growing programs in the American Legion, the American Legion Riders. Would the American Legion Riders Committee Chairman Brady please join the commander on the lower stage to present this award? This group of Legion family members is untiring in an effort to honor our fallen comrades, raise funds to benefit children and youth, and support the programs and concerns of the American Legion Department of Indiana. The mission of the American Legion Riders is to support the American Legion, and we believe no rider better amplifies this than our 2021 Rider of the Year. He attends chapter and district meetings, participates in such things for all the rides throughout the state, benefiting veterans and their families across Indiana. He has proven himself as a leader among his peer riders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jody Brown from Post 341 in the 6th District. Could I get the 6th District Commander to come up and receive the award? Congratulations to Jody. Several years ago, we established a special award to recognize the accomplishments and outreach of American Legion posts in their communities. This award has become one of the most prestigious and meaningful awards we've given, not only because it recognizes effort to serve the community, but also because such effort form the most solid underpinning of any successful membership program. These posts that compete in this competition are among the best, and the winners are truly outstanding. We present these awards in 2 categories: posts with fewer than 500 members and posts with more than 500 members. The winners are, in more than 500 member category, 7th District, Burton Worley, Post 18 in Bloomington. and the winner in the less than 500 member category, the 9th District Kenneth L. Diver, post 337 in Sunman, Indiana. Commander, this concludes the Internal Affairs Awards. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your Internal Affairs Commission Chairman. You are now the commander.
Thanks. Our next guest is an Air Force veteran who is honored to be here, have been selected by Governor Eric Holcomb to serve as Director of the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. Dennis has a military career that expands over 20 years, where he has served in many assignments after graduation from Purdue University ROTC program. After leaving the Air Force, Dennis has worked in multiple sectors of the economy. Dennis brings a servant's mindset to the department and is excited to lead the department to serve Indiana veterans and their families. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming our 1D VA our first district director, Dennis Wimmer. Yeah, come up here.
Good morning. So a couple things. I want to kind of hit a few more things in my background. Yes, said I'm an Air Force veteran. Anybody jump out of a 141 in their days? Yeah, oh, okay. It's my job to make sure you landed where you were supposed to. So I did a pretty good job, my job, with people. Well, no, the one thing I'll say is, anybody ever control a drop zone? Okay, where do you park when you control a drop zone? You always parked right where the person was aiming because nobody ever hits that. You never hit where you're aiming. Except for one night when I was flying and I had completely messed up and I come back around and I was going, man, I'm in the wrong place. The airplane is. So 30 seconds before I drop, I tell the pilots, hey, we got to correct this. We got to turn hard right, hard left, roll out, go. And I put 2 howitzers out the back of the airplane with two Humvees. Unfortunately, the people controlling the drop zone were right on that point of impact that I was aiming at. And they're kind of fat, dumb, and happy sitting down there like, whatever. They look up, I see stars. They look up, I don't see stars. And all of a sudden, they recognize that one of those parachutes is coming right at them. And so I put a howitzer right on top of their 2 trucks. So when I took this job, the news said, hey, you got a picture of you in the military? So I went and I got no headshots of me. And I looked, and the only picture I got is me standing on top of a truck like this after a completely crushed truck the day after. So I said, I don't think I'm going to send that picture into the news. So you won't see any on the front page. So a little background for me, C-141B navigator for about 9 years. Last couple years I did special forces work, and then also got my MBA. Left the military and went into business. I came back to Indiana. I'm from Indiana originally, Purdue University. Any boilers in here? Boiler up? All right. Sorry for anybody, IU, I don't go that direction, so sorry. I know that always gets the groans, but hey, I'm boiler true and true. So left there, came back home to Indiana, worked at Eli Lilly and Company, worked there for a couple years, and then started my own business with a colleague, doing medical marketing work. But I said, I looked at it, and I'm just not getting that emotion, that feeling, that service that I had when I served in the military. So I saw an opportunity, and I went and became the chief executive of a children's home for abused and neglected kids. Well, if you want a service mindset, that's it. We got kids coming in who have significant need, and I did that for a couple of years. I then came in and worked for the Indiana Department of Workforce Development, running all of the Work One offices across the state of Indiana, and again, continue to stoke the service. We were getting people jobs, getting companies, employees, and helping communities in doing that. And I told staff, if you don't like those three things, go get a different job, because I don't want you here. Because that's what we're up here every morning to get up and go do. And that's about passion, and you got to have passion. If you don't have it, don't do it. I left there, went to Butler University, into their business school, kind of back to business a little bit, helping small businesses and medium-sized businesses grow, and did that for a little while, and then had this opportunity. Now, I teach a class for people who are have some issues in their life, and I teach it on workforce and on job skills. One of the classes I teach is on showing initiative. And the story I tell is that, as an example, I was having lunch downtown at noon on a Friday in December, and one of the guys I was having lunch with said, "Hey, you hear this position's opened up?" I said, "When did that happen?" He goes, "This morning." I said, "See ya." And I left lunch. I finished lunch, of course, but I left lunch and went over to the governor's office, knocked on the door, and said, "I'm here for the job." So this is a job I want. This is a job I'm ready for, and I'll be your best person that you're going to look at. That's showing initiative. Now, that's the passion I have for this job. Don't think I'd want to do anything else. This is a fantastic place to be, serving the folks here in this room. And I mean that a couple ways, because I want to say one comment about what is the mission of the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs. When I came in, the mission was, we're here to serve those individuals those veterans who are eligible for our benefits. Do you know if you're eligible for our benefits? Then I may not be here to serve you. And that's not right. It's not motivational enough. It doesn't let people know what we're doing. So our mission statement is pretty simple, and I like to say it whenever I can because it fits what we're doing. The Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs mission is to serve, support, and advocate for the Indiana veteran community. Now, those words, Indiana veteran community. Initially, we had on there, which was my idea, someone else came up with Indiana Veterans Community, and I thank them all the time. I had veterans, their families, and caregivers. I thought that was complete. I said, boy, that covers everything. But what it doesn't cover is you as an organization. It doesn't cover the Legion. It doesn't cover the non-for-profits in the community. And it's our job to serve them also. Because by helping them, by helping those organizations, by being a part, by attending their events, by promoting what they're doing, we are serving the Indiana veterans, their families, and caregivers in doing that. So it's about this whole community that we need to serve. So what does the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs do? I think it's important just to briefly give a little bit of background on what we do. For those of you that have interacted with the federal VA, it's very similar. We have three main buckets: healthcare, cemetery, and benefits. So we don't do any of the healthcare from a hospital standpoint, but we have our long-term care facility up in West Lafayette, the Indiana Veterans Home. And we have a superintendent up there who's been there a little under a year and has improved. If you know homes, they're rated by these star ratings. In her tenure there, she's increased the rating by 2 stars out of 5. So she's moved it up, and we're moving up towards 5. It's where we need to be. It's where we need to be for our veterans for the state. And she's doing a great job, and I'm proud of her. And I'm proud of what the Legion has done, helping her in her role and helping those veterans up at the Veterans Home. It's a great opportunity. Second, cemetery. Has anybody visited the Madison Cemetery? Good, a couple of you. I was down there Thursday. We just completed what's called a raise and realign. So we raised all of the headstones that had kind of sunk a little bit, and now as you look down any angle, any corner, anything, you will see a headstone, and it is like what you expect from a military cemetery. It looked great before, but it looks wonderful now. So I encourage you to go down. That, for anybody, does anybody live here in Madison? Any Madison folks or that area? Nope, nobody down here. I just want to praise that community. They come out and support that cemetery with vigor. They're a fantastic community, and anybody of you that deals with them, know that they support the Indiana Veterans Cemetery with conviction. Lastly, we do benefits. So we have a couple benefits I just want to hit here this morning. I won't hit everything, but some of these, if you're not receiving them, get on our website and go say, why am I not getting this? Property tax exemption. Anybody hunt and fish around here? Anybody got the veterans hunting and fishing license? Okay, it's 5 years and it's about half the cost of what you normally get. And then you don't have to go every year. You get it for 5 years. Very easy to get. Come on our website, take a look. Well worth it. I've got mine in my glove compartment. Now, license plates. How many of you have a veteran license plate? Quite a few. How many of you know where that money goes to? A couple, about maybe 1/10 of those, if anything, if that much. So that money, you pay $15 for your veteran's license plate, unless it's a disabled plate, and that money goes to the Military Family Relief Fund. So we get about $2 million a year into that fund, and it's our job to work to get that money out. It hasn't been an easy job over the last couple of years for many reasons. One that you've seen when I took the job that was in the paper around controls and making sure we understand who was getting it. But two is one that Senator Garton and Representative Bartels was instrumental in changing to make it open, more open. I'll hit those here right now. I was going to do it in a minute, but now I changed my mind. I'll do it right now. So this year, with the Legion's direct support, and couldn't have done it without the folks in the Legion who were behind this, along with DAV and VFW Corley to help out with this. We removed many. I told someone to put a sound so I sound like I'm joking, so thank you very much. No. It was I was waiting for the Bugs Bunny sound, so that's good. I was expecting me to do that. I don't really do that. So we put it in a bill that removed many of the restrictions to that fund. So let me give an example. If you could not connect your personal need right now for money with your service, maybe 20 years ago, how that contributed to your need, you were not eligible. That's hard. How do you do that? So your house burns down. You need help. We as a community want to help you. That has nothing to do with your military service. I couldn't help you. And so we had to deny things like that. Now, one of the great things we have is partners, and so we would reach out to our partners and say, hey, can you help here? So we normally wouldn't just shove them away. We would get them over to the Legion, over DAV, or other places, and we would work with them to get them help. But we couldn't help them, and I got money to help. But we couldn't do it, so we got rid of that. That is gone. Yeah, exactly. Now, let me tell you how big that is. We would deny about 60% of our applications for that reason alone. That's way too much. So we were thrilled to get rid of it. And your help was instrumental in getting rid of that. Secondly, you had to serve during wartime. Someone's financial need today, for me to give you money, had to be connected that you had to serve during wartime. Well, your service, whether it was during wartime or whether it was not during wartime, is no less important than anybody else's. And your need today is no less important because of that service. Everyone who served raised their hand at the beginning of their service and said that oath. That's what distinguishes us different than everybody else. It isn't then everything that we did during the service and, oh, I was here, I was there, I did this, I dropped a tank on top of a truck. It wasn't that. It was that you stood up and you said, I am willing to give of myself to serve. And that's what makes you and everyone else around here special. And that's why we need help when there is help needed. The third one was you had to serve for a year. Well, that hit serve active duty for a year. So if you think about our Guard, which Indiana is significantly made up of, that hits our Guard pretty hard because many of them won't have served active duty for a year. So it was important for us to remove those. So we removed the service during wartime, we removed the active duty for 1 year. And so now we can look at a veteran when they come in and go, do they have a financial need? Now, let me say what that means. There may be a veteran, and I've had one recently that the veteran, somebody referred him to us and said he's got a financial need. He's almost homeless. But we look, and they had significant dollars, I mean more than I think I have, in their bank account. They just didn't want to spend it. Well, that's not a financial need. If you've got the money to pay for your rent and pay for things, but you just don't want to spend it, that's not a financial need. So our team looks at the financial need because we want to serve those veterans. We want to give money to those that need it. Now, the maximum is $2,500. However, we have a process which I am extremely proud of because I'm not necessarily leading the process. So I'm very proud of it. It's actually being led by our commission. And if anybody requests over $2,500 and they're eligible, we'll send that to our commission. So how many of you have been on a board or on a commission ever in your life? There'll be a couple here. Yeah, a couple. Those usually meet 4 or 6 times a year. Well, this committee of this commission has met 38 times in a year. Now, most of the times it's for 10 or 15 minutes, and we've been doing it on the phone for the most part, so it's not that huge of a deal. But what those 38 times are, is those have been times where someone has been in need of more than $2,500, and the commissioners have then said, yes, we will give it, or at times, no, we will not. Well, let me give an example. We had a person come in whose husband committed suicide, who was the veteran. This is the Military Family Relief Fund. And they hadn't paid rent for about 5 months. Their need was much more than $2,500. Our staff was like, we've got to help this person. They've got 5 kids, and we need to help them. But our $2,500 wasn't going to get us that far. So the commission agreed to give more than that and pay for those 5 months of rent. But more importantly, we connected her with her husband's federal benefits. He had never applied. So many of you that are service officers know the difficulty of that. So we got him connected. I called over to the VA regional office and talked with Michael Stevens, the head of that office, who is fantastic, by the way. Got her connected to him, and he made the regulations work. And about 3 months later, he calls me up and says, hey, I got to let you know. She's getting a check for $3,500 or for $13,000 because of back pay. She's getting $3,500 a month. And because of that, her kids may be eligible for our tuition and fee remission program that we have. So the Military Family Relief Fund isn't just about the $2,500 that we might give. It's about the opportunity for us to serve Indiana's veterans and help them in every way possible. So the other changes to the fund, real quick. One that was challenging, and I'll tell you how we're going to work to implement it. Of course, I say that, but our commission meets on the 13th, and so they'll approve if we do it this way, so it's not done yet. But one of those ways is we looked at discharges, and we looked at the different types of discharges. And the Military Family Relief Fund was, what initially said you had to have an honorable discharge, and that's good, that's okay. But many people in need, if you have something other than honorable discharge, you hit a need pretty quickly. And so we looked and said, especially after a year and a half ago of some of the turmoil, said, how can we serve more and how can we serve better? Who's in need? And I had a couple examples in front of me where a gentleman came to me and said, I've got 2 sons. but one of them served in the Marines, one of them served in the Army. Both of them did the exact same thing. Made a mistake, the exact same mistake. The one in the Army got a general under honorable circumstances or under honorable conditions discharge. The one in the Marines got an other than honorable discharge for the exact same thing. Discharges are not equal. Not everybody gets the same discharge. It is up to the commander, up to a committee, up to a board, it isn't always clearly written out. And so what we want to do is not automatically approve everybody, but we wanted to serve veterans because we're the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs, not the Indiana Department of Honorably Discharged Veterans Affairs. We need to serve our veterans. If they are defined as a veteran, we want to figure out how we can help and serve them. And so while we're not going to so if you have a dishonorable discharge, you're not going to be approved. If you have a bad conduct, you're not going to be approved. But it's that other than honorable that is a very gray area that we wanted to look at. And it's not automatic. You won't automatically be approved. But remember, I complimented that process from over 2,500. What we are looking to do is anybody who comes in with another than honorable will go through that same process. That commission will look at that. The commissioners will then say, let's look at this situation. Let's look at the case. Is this deserving? Should we be able to give that? The VA does the same thing in a more extensive manner with benefits, because they look to see if there is something in there that they can then be able to give a benefit to in those other than honorable conditions, circumstances. And that's what we want to have the opportunity to do. We expect it to be pretty small. On average, it's about 5 to 6% of all discharges are anything below general. So it's not a large amount. It's not going to be everybody who's coming and get it, but it is something we want to be able to do for those in need. The last change to the significant change to the bill was we collected $2 million last year. We gave out $350,000. That's way too little. And why is that? Well, we've got removed all those bad things that we deny people for, and we're able to now give not eliminate veterans. And so that can get us probably 2/3 of the way there. But the biggest problem is, now before I said Military Family Relief Fund, how many of you had never heard of that before? There should be a couple in here. Never heard of it. Okay, thank you. I got a couple. Yeah. Thank you. But when we go around into the community that isn't part of these organizations, we hear a lot of, oh, I didn't know that was there. I didn't know you were doing that. I didn't connect with that. And so we need to communicate to everybody. We need to put messages out there to let people know. And so that's a piece. So we're going to be able to utilize 10% of the fund to be able to only do promotion and communication and marketing kind of activities so we can bring more people to the fund. Now, does that mean 10% less could get the fund? It doesn't, because I've got $10 million in a bank account at a trust fund that the commission can dip into if needed. So if we start going above that $2 million mark, then we have the opportunity to go get those dollars. And that's exactly what I'd love to see happen. I'd love to see this promotion do it so well that we're going above. That's my hope. We'll start that after the commission meeting because they're going to approve what we'll spend the money on. So that's important. We want to get more people to know about what's going on. The last thing I want to talk about today, and then I'll open it up for questions. And if you have a question that you said, boy, I could never ask that question, feel free to ask. If I can't answer it, I'll say, I don't know, I'll go find out, I'll give you my card, and we'll talk. But feel free to hit me with any question you've got. Now, if it's a federal question, I may have a little more difficulty, but I'll be happy to try to get you an answer. So the last thing I want to talk about is actually very centered to the American Legion. How many know what building the Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs has their offices in? Got a couple. Yep, I heard someone say it. I got my hand. You got your hand up? Okay, good. We are in 777 North Meridian, the former home of the National American Legion. It is exciting to be in that building. If you go back to the March American Legion National Magazine, you'll see a 2-page article, and then you go on the website, you'll see a video about the building and about our presence in there. In 1925, when the building was dedicated, and I'm not sure if it was the national commander or whether it was Pershing that said this, but I read the article, and one of them said this. Somebody may correct me which one it was, but said this building will always be a center for veterans. And as all of you know, or many of you know, the national headquarters left, the state headquarters came in, that then transitioned over time, and then finally in the mid 2010-ish, after that, the building became vacant because it was not really usable anymore. The state of Indiana utilized funds that were for buildings. They did not take any money from veterans. They did not take any money that would have went to veterans. They utilized $7.5 million to refurbish that building. And I give you all the invite right now, and please take me up on this. Come over and take a look. Because that building is today a center for veterans. And so let me say what I mean by that. The Indiana Department of Veterans Affairs isn't the only organization in there. So VHA, Veterans Health Administration, has their whole homelessness team in there. They've got 2 medical clinics with doctors and nurses, and they bring homeless into that building to get a clinical appointment. VBA, Veterans Benefits Administration, has 2 offices in there to be able to do benefits. So we have federal VA in there. We don't have anyone from the cemetery, that's okay. We have the state, my whole office is in there except for the cemetery and the veterans home. We have local, we have a partnership with the city of Indianapolis where the county veteran service officer will be coming in and utilizing the facility every week to be able to meet with veterans. So we've got local government in there. But then we also have multiple non-for-profits. The Legion, DAV, VFW have space in the building. We've got InVets, which goes to bases and says, you're getting out of the military, I want you in Indiana, and this company wants you in Indiana, let's get you to Indiana, and works to bring veterans to Indiana that are leaving the military. We've got multiple other non-for-profits, Volunteers of America, Operation Job Ready Veterans. So we've got the mix of federal, state, local veterans activities. We got non-for-profits in there, and we have room for more. But the history of that building and what it tells us as we do our work every day is not lost on any of us that work there. For those of you that have been into it before, you remember, and who've been in the current building, the National Executive Committee room where it has those nice tables, 2 seats on them. We redid all of the ones up there, but we didn't put them back in that room because it would have cluttered the room up because they have to be drilled into the floor. But I have one in my office, and it's a continual reminder of what the American Legion does, what the American Legion did, and what it can do in the future. And we can only do that together. So I close with telling you, go back to our mission statement. We're here to support, serve, and advocate for the Indiana veteran community. Well, I need that help from you also. So it's about partnerships. We can only do this together. We can only help all of our veterans together. None of us can do it alone. We have our county veteran service officers, which are the front line that really do just an amazing job. I say that because Alan's right next to me. No, they are wonderful. And it's our job to support them and serve them more. And we're working to try to do that. But that's your first line. We need to work together with them. But I ask you that when you go back to your home area and look at the building and go, do we have anything here that says anything about the Military Family Relief Fund? Let us know. We need to get you information, and we'd like you to help us let people in your community know about it. And I'll announce, we haven't kicked it off yet, but we're going to initiate it, a program that will support local community events. We want to be a part of those events. And so I'm opening up about $20,000 in my budget so that we can give $500 individually to different events going on across the state. So when a community has an event, we want them to apply. We're working on the application right now. We want them to apply, and we will be a sponsor of that event. $500 for a small local event can pay for the food, can pay for the facility, can pay for some communication in the community. And all we ask is that we're a part. We just want to be a part because we want to be there with you, there with your community, serving. and we want to be connected with the activities that are going on so we can connect the veterans there with their benefits. So with that, and I apologize for going so long, but right when I came up, someone goes, make it longer, make it longer. I'm like, I've never been told that ever. Someone, when I came in, said, you know, boy, you're not wearing a coat and a tie. And I said, well, there's two reasons for that. One is I don't think any of my coat and ties fit anymore. Corona's, I saw an article that said, you know, many people gained weight over Corona. I would be one of those. But seriously, the second reason is this right here. This is where my passion lies. My passion lies in this, and if by wearing this, someone comes up to me and says, oh, and I've had this happen about a dozen times at Walmart. I go to Walmart a lot. You know, said, you know, oh, are you Veterans Affairs, do you work at the federal government? I'm like, well, no, I'm the state. Let's talk about that. I've had about a dozen people who I have connected with their benefits, and one of those benefits being the tuition and fee remission program, about 6 of them, that has meant for each of them about $100,000, which is mind-boggling. So this shirt is one of the most valuable shirts that I own because it starts a conversation. So anyway, with starting a conversation, I open up, there's time for any questions, if anybody has any questions for me. Yes, sir. Good and wonderful, how are you?
I think you need to reiterate that issue about them not being service-connected, but having a disability or a need for the fund, writing the letter, because I don't think they got that, because I went through it recently.
Sure. So before, let me hit a little bit. So the question was, kind of reiterate the Military Family Relief Fund and what you have to do to kind of get it. Before you had to connect it with your military service. That is not the case anymore. But you still have to let us know and write a letter of what your need is and why, and why there's a need. Because we need to identify financial need. And so there still is, it's not just filling a form out, there's also a, you know, this is my financial need, this is why I need it, but it doesn't connect anymore to your, if you don't have to have a disability rating, you don't have to have any kind of other issue, it's about financial need. And so you need to just let us tell you that, or tell us what that is, and then our staff, and there's other data we'll need in our staff, it's on our website, of all of the different things that we need, because one of the biggest things is looking at some bank accounts, that kind of stuff, to look at the financial need. But there used to be a letter that needed to be written to say, how does this need connect to your military service? That's not needed anymore at all. But what is needed is a letter to say, this is my need, this is why I can't pay those bills, and this is what I'm asking for. I need help with my car payment, help with my rent, help with other things like that. We automatically, and I'll come over, I got you, I'll come over to you in a second. One of the things we do is if someone's in financial need, we automatically assume they could use some help buying some food at home. And so depending upon the size of the family, we automatically give some cash for food for them to their house. Everything else goes and pays bills directly. But we automatically give, so if someone comes in and doesn't ask for any food, we say, well, two family members, that's $100, and we give $100 for some food, which all of you know doesn't go a long way. So, good question over there, yep. Okay, so the statement for some of you that did not hear. Any other comments? Sorry. So the comment was about and nod your head up and down if I do it right. If I don't do it right, then shake it and I'll come back to you. Is about long-term care for veterans who are in a vegetative state, who need life support on a daily basis to be able to live. That there is not in the state of Indiana a system, a structure that is a veteran-based for that care. Is that correct? Okay, so that's coming. So that is correct. I do not operate or do not own something like that. What I'd like to do is, and I don't know the Illinois organizations. If we can talk afterwards, I'd like to know what that organization is that you're going to every, to drive. And then we'll do some research to see who operates those things so that we can see what the structure is in place. And if it's through the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs or through the state in some way, I'll reach out and we'll have a conversation to see what works and how they're doing it, what's the budget and that kind of stuff. And I can't promise anything from here, but we'll take a look and try to understand so we can see what could or should be done in the state of Indiana. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Yeah, yes, ma'am. So let me see if I can, there were two questions there. One was how do you get a card? And then the second was about entering a base and what you need to have to enter a base, and then some other comments. So that's not my area, but I actually know a little bit about this conversation. So let me see if I can address that. The first question is how do you get a card? So there are many locations associated with it depends upon where you live. So Indianapolis, Roudabush, Fort Wayne, the hospital there, Marion, the hospital there, down towards Louisville, the hospital there. They all have a pass and ID location that you can get your card. I'm trying. I did this once, and then it never worked again. And then Corona hit, and so we focused on other things. But I'm trying to get that function available within our office so that we can send the information to the VA, and then a card would be sent. And I know it worked once because we tested it on me and I didn't have a card yet, and so I got a card. But then we tried it a second time and it just didn't, and it never was able to get worked. I think the person who figured it out left the VA and we failed. But it's something I'll be addressing again so that we can do it in our office, which then might lean to a potential, not an exact yet, is if we can do it in our office, we might be able to give the tools to the CVSO offices to do it in there with the blue background and take a picture and send documents in. So that would be ideal. That's not the case as it is today. As it is today, you need to go to either a base or to any of the Veterans Health Administrations, then you can get a Veterans ID card. There may be some other locations that I'm not aware of, but yeah, go ahead. Well, that's the second question. I'll get to that in a second. So a couple of years, so previously to 2020, I'm a veteran. I served 9 years. I could not enter a military base for any of the benefits that are on the military base. That was the fact. So it didn't matter who I was, what I was. I could not get onto a base without special permission or a guest or with somebody else. And that's the same for everybody else in the room. Unless you were a retiree or had some other individual circumstances, you could not do that. In January 2020, the law changed. And what it said is, and I'm going to paraphrase, so I'm not going to be exact, so don't shoot me later if I say, oh, it said something different. Well, feel free to aim, but don't shoot. No, don't feel free to aim. So, but it said, if you have a service-connected disability, and it said some other things, but very specifically, it opened the door to people with any service-connected disability. So and I just tested this myself in March. I went down to Tyndall Air Force Base, something like that. I went down to Florida. Went to the base, Eglin, that's where I was at. Tyndall didn't seem right. I was at Eglin. Went into Eglin and went into their pass and ID, showed my ID card. Now on my ID card, underneath my picture, it says service connected. And there are a couple other things that it has to say, either service connected or a couple other things. I don't have the code in front of me exactly, but there's a couple things there. But it has to say that. So you are exactly correct that if it does not say that, you are not eligible to come on the base. So the encouragement for all of us is, and it doesn't matter how big of a service-connected disability you have, but it has to be service-connected. So the encouragement is get your friends, get your colleagues, let them know that, get them into their CVSO office, get them into their Legion office, get them to their service officer, and say, have that conversation with your county veteran service officer to talk about benefits. That's the critical first step. You need to do that, and everybody needs to do that. I didn't do it for 20 years. I went 20 years without having a disability rating. And when I said, oh, let me go look at this, I recognized that I had 10 times where I had been taken off flight status for a lower back injury. Duh. So I have and over the years, I have a difficult time bending forward. There you go. So my ID says service connected. Doesn't say what percentage. So you're correct. You have to have that. That's one of the requirements of the federal law. If you do have that, the really neat thing is you can go and it's almost like you're retired. You can have access to all of those, to the services on the base, the BX, the PX, the commissary, the hospital, some other, and if for any of you that go to Florida, Orlando, getting MWR, getting tickets for someplace. But if you don't have that and some other specific conditions, you can't access the base. So did that answer your question? I know you're frustrated by that fact, but that fact, that's a new extension that just changed 2 years ago. And so that's a federal, because that would be federal legislation. So as you talk and as Legion talks about what they want to advocate on a federal level, that would be something that you could raise and see what they could do on a federal level, because there's nothing from a state level that we would be able to do to impact that. And I'm thrilled they moved that first step. That's a big first step. And so potentially in the future, with enough conversation, there might be a next step for that. So thank you very much. Yes, sir.
My question's on the building.
Yes, sir.
Before it was renovated, if you were on the 3rd floor and you needed to use the men's room, you had to take an elevator down to the 2nd floor, and half the time the elevator didn't work. So did they improve the restrooms, and does the elevator work all the time?
So we have restrooms on every floor.
Good.
And if any of you went to my DAV speech, you'll like that I stood up and I said, I'm here like the rest of you, I have to go to the restroom. So, yeah, but the bathroom's very important. Yeah, we've got restrooms on every floor. They actually work. There's a brand new elevator. It's actually bigger. They tore the old elevator out. It was about the size for me and maybe half of me to get in. And now it's the size for about 4 or 5 of us to get in and be able to go on up upstairs. So, and also, if you remember, there were these strange sinks or something in the hallways, right? In a couple halls, I kept being told about these strange, all of a sudden a sink would pop out of the wall. I don't know why, they just did them. All those are gone because we have enough stuff on every floor. The other thing that's interesting is on the north edge, where I think on the 1st floor the commander's office was, used to be there,
Yeah.
they put a stairway in. So there's a stairwell going up to the 4th floor on that end of the building. So it removes some offices, but so if you go back there looking for that commander's office, it's a different view from there. But yeah, all floors have restrooms that work well. And the other thing that we added in, there's not a lot of restaurants in the area, So it all has break rooms with refrigerators and stuff so that we can
Well, we had
continue to work all day long.
Did they add any more fire exits?
Yep.
At the ends?
So you've got the stairwell in the middle,
Yeah.
and then the stairwell at the north end is a fire exit. So you have 2 fire exits that the doors open during operating hours, and then when no one's there, when the main doors are shut, you have the one exit at the far end.
Okay, one more. What about the parking?
Yes, great question, because that was one of my concerns. So talk about the one that doesn't matter too much, which is where do I park, and where do other people that work there. That's not that important. But we park in the Scottish Rite lot across the hall. We have to have a tag, we have to have a scanner, and so that's where everybody who works there parks. Visitors. And I want to give great credit to the Indiana Department of Administration. They partnered with the library that has the underground parking, and we will validate parking for 3 or 6 hours. So if someone comes in, it'll be validated at the front desk, and they can park in the underground parking at no charge. So that was a very important one, because downtown you had to park on the street. Also, there's meter spots on the front, which if you have a disabled veteran's license plate, you can just park right out in front, as many of you know anyway. So great questions. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. So one, from a resources standpoint, so the question was, the office is busy, people, we don't have, hundreds of staff that and anytime anybody calls, they're going to get in, and every once in a while the phone's blocked, and so somebody may not get in. I added all those words. But what are some other resources and other places that you can go? So one, our website has a couple things that I'd like people to think about. One of the first and foremost things on there is locate your CVSO. So with that question, I would say go to your CVSO first, because they are your local representative. Now, they're not always available either. It's one person, but that is in your local community. That's your next door neighbor. That is the person standing to my right. That is, a person who's going to have understanding what resources are available in your community for you. So that's always a place that I would say would be, even before us, I would say that's a first stop. And on our website, we've got Locate a CVSO, has a map of Indiana by county. Click on it, gives the name, number, address, and you can find your CVSO, and I encourage you to do that first. Again, everybody's busy, not always available. You can go to our website. We've got a resources page which has by local area some resources. It's not all complete. We're working to make that as complete as possible. But I think from those 2 starting points, you can find the different activities and organizations within your community that should be able to help and meet your need. For us, those first 3 words are important: serve, support, and advocate. Because I can't answer all questions in, like the base question. I might be able to answer that question, but I actually didn't meet her need, right? Answer the question, but she has another need, which is I want more, right? We want more. But I, kind of gave her a little path of that's a federal question. Here's who you got to go to. That was an easy one. There are other harder ones, but we will work to get you connected to the organization that you need. And our staff responds by the next day. If it's a voicemail, we respond to all voicemails within a day. If you call my cell phone, and I have my card here, the only number on there is my cell phone, I'm happy to give it to any of you. And I respond usually to voicemails within a few moments or mostly with that day. If I get a voicemail, I'm responding to that day. Alan, you've called me a couple times. You could test us. I'm fairly quick on the response. And so we'll work to help out. So thank you. Other questions? Yes?
My question is regarding, I don't know if this thing's on. Okay, there we go. My question is regarding your tuition program for your
Yes.
remediation. Is this limited to children of veterans? Because I received the post 9/11 MGI bill and I went to Purdue, and let's just say that did not cover all the expenses.
True.
So can you give me a little bit more information on that?
Yeah, so thank you very much. And I was remiss in not highlighting that one because that's a program that I love because it brings a lot of money to Indiana veterans, and many of them just don't know about it. We need to let people know. So what her question was about the tuition and fee remission program. So she asked whether it was, as she said, was just for children. So there's a couple different programs. One of them is very specifically for children of disabled veterans. So you have to have a disability rating. You have to be a resident of Indiana. Your child has to be eligible for in-state tuition. And it's to Indiana state schools, not Notre Dame, not Butler, those kind of places. And it covers tuition and standardized fees. So that is for, it's not for the veteran themselves, unless you have a Purple Heart. And then for Purple Heart, there's children of Purple Heart, and then for Purple Heart also, where the tuition is covered. I think there's plenty of opportunity if you look at what the requirements are there for modification. One thing that changed, we haven't really hit too much of it yet, but is before 2011, if you had any rating, 0%, didn't matter, your tuition was covered by 100%. After 2011, it's 20% plus your disability rating. So that's still a nice benefit, but it isn't quite, it isn't what I think potentially we should be for everybody. So that was one of the big changes. The other change was age. Before 2011, it wasn't, you could be 65, you could be 75, didn't matter. As a child of a veteran, you could go back to school. But it's now you have to have by before your end of 32. So before you start your 33rd year, you have to start the program. So that's changed, and that's something that we can think about what the impact of those two things are. And I'll come back to you. There was one other thing I was going to say, but I can't remember. So you raised your hand for a follow-up?
Yeah, the follow-up question would be is for the 20% with disability rating, is that proactive? Because some of these programs I did not know about. And having that person cut off, having veterans that were in social service,
Yep. Yep. Well, so that would be another thing that so one of the things that in my role I need to follow is what the state code says. And the state code says that 33, so that what you just said of that, some people don't recognize that they have the benefit until after they're 33 or are going to go back and if that is the case, then that is the case and then they become not eligible. That was a change that occurred in 2011 and then was reiterated in 2019. So that is something that I think is a good discussion and something that our legislators would be good to hear from people on what their thoughts are on that situation, because I would personally, I would agree with you that that has some challenges to it, because it is hard to get everybody to know about this program. So you also said, is that a proactive program? You have to apply. It's not something that Purdue or IU is going to look at you and go, hey, you should go apply. Unfortunately, we're trying to talk with them about doing that. But it is something you have to file the FAFSA, you have to go and apply. The one thing this cued me in, it can also be for a graduate degree. So if you have an undergraduate and you paid for it by your parents' GI Bill paid for that, and now you're going to graduate school, it'll pay for that school at the undergraduate rate, however. So if that's a $20,000 program, it'd pay for 10 or 12, whatever the Indiana State Schools rate is for undergraduate. So thank you. I think that's some changes that are worth talking about. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you another question. Dealing with the school situation, and the fees are not, or the paying for it, or paying back the fees not enough to cover, for instance, they need a laptop. Can they go and apply for that under the family disability program? You know what I'm saying?
Right. So the question was, so the person's going to school and they need some other things that the fees don't pay for, like other school supplies, like a laptop or other things. Can the Military Family Relief Fund be utilized for that? If they meet a financial need. So, if the family can't pay other bills, if education is something that we can pay for, but that financial need is going to have to be identified, and we'll have to look at that. So if, if they've got $1,000 in the bank and they need to buy a $1,000 computer, we're going to say, yes, we'll help you, because you don't need to have zero. That would be dumb. We don't need to have you first be completely destitute before we help. But it is, if you have 5,000 and you're paying your bills and you still, you could probably buy a $1,000 computer. It'll be difficult, but otherwise we would look to help. There could be a way to do that. I'd encourage an application, because let's test that situation. Any other questions? Did I do okay on time? Somebody went, Phil. Yes, sir.
On the longevity program, you spoke of being enrolled in the program, but many, on the longevity of the program, you spoke of being enrolled in the program. Many are students are working and taking college courses. How long does the program run?
Yep.
After you enroll?
So when you, so it's 8 years. So if you enroll, my son is going to IUPUI, started 2 years ago. He has 8 years to finish that 124 credits or whatever before he'll be done with eligibility. So now you can, so what I encourage is once you sign up for the program, you're then eligible. So I encourage you to sign up for the program. The 8 years doesn't start until you start using it. So if you have a child who is 16 or who's 31, 32, get into the system, get into indiana.gov/DVA. There's a tuition and fee remission tab on there. Get them enrolled, fill out the FAFSA, do it. And because that then gets them into the program, and then they've got plenty of time to be able to utilize it afterwards. But it's 8 years is once you start using it, you've got to complete within 8 years.
Thank you.
Yep. Great question, thank you. Great, okay, I think I've done a good job with my time. Alan? Got some for you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Weimer. I apologize that I wasn't here to welcome you
That's all right.
or to hear your opening remarks. I was really heartened to see, though, that you couldn't get very many hands raised up when you asked if nobody had heard of the Military Family Relief Program.
Just happy about that.
That's because it's on our website. It's been in our Hoosier Legionnaire, which goes to all our membership. So we've been promoting that as well.
And I saw it in my copy of the Legionnaire that came to my house, thank you.
And I don't know if you covered all the changes in the legislation.
I did.
You did, so that's great. And I do believe that the changes were positive, and it's going to open that up to many more needy veterans.
I just want to be able to say, I have to dive into that trust fund and go get more money, because that's what, there are plenty of veterans out there in need.
All right.
So thank you very much.
Thank you again.
Thank
We
you.
look forward to working with you in the future. Okay, well, you want, how about Hogshead? You want me to follow the script, or you want to break in?
I don't know, it's up to you.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask Past National Commander Jim Couts to approach the podium. I apologize, Commander Couts. All right, at this point, I'm going to, our next guest became our 49th mayor of Indianapolis in 2016. Before taking office in 2016, Mayor Hogsett served as Indiana's Secretary of State and the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Indiana. A lifelong Hoosier, Mayor Hogsett has lived and worked in Indianapolis for more than 30 years. He and his wife, Steph, have 3 children. Please join me in welcoming the Mayor of Indianapolis, Joe Hogsett. It's beginning to look like I may have been better off staying over at the auxiliary conference. Mayor's not here.
Mayor's not here. He said that we'll be here about 10 o'clock, so I knew you want to take a break or what. We could do the awards.
You want-
Presentation.
Let's go ahead and do the presentation.
Okay, just announce you're gonna make a little change in your schedule, and we'll go do that. Fill the time.
All right, at this time, we're just gonna twink the script a little bit, and I know that a number of you Legionnaires the past 2 days have asked for an opportunity to make some special presentations. We're going to do them all now, so if any of you in the audience have a presentation to make, please make your way to the lower stage. When you make your presentation, please use the microphone down there. Clearly announce the amount for what it's for and who it's and where it's from for recording purposes. So let's get started. I'll put you up here.
All right, thank you, Commander. Yeah, as the Commander said, we want to keep a record of these contributions, from whom and to whom and the amount. So please announce who you are or who the gift is from, what its purpose, and the amount.
American Legion 5th District, this is Dave Burnett. The 5th District is giving $2,000 to the Legacy Foundation.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Commander. Ron Patterson, Fort Worth Post, 391. We have a check for $10,000, $5,000 for the Legacy Fund, and $5,000 for the 9/11 Fund.
John Van Adden with the 8th District. We'd like to present the commander with a commander's project of $1,000.
Thank you.
We'd like to send him a check from the 8th District for IBETS for $500. And for the Children Education Welfare Program, another $500.
Thank you very much.
Jack Cook from Post 210, Middlebury, Indiana. I have a personal check for $1,000 for Comfort Warriors.
Well, who was that?
Mike Steigerwald, Commander, Post 276, Beech Grove. We have 2 checks for $3,000 for the Legacy Foundation.
Alani Boyce, Commander of the 7th District. I have a check for $350 from the 7th District for the Commander's Project.
I'm the commander from American Legion, Post 502. I got an IVETS check for $508 and IVH check for $1,500.
You know, I can't really tell you how much I appreciate the gifts and your generosity. And I'll assure you that these funds will be put to the good use you'd intended them for. Thank you so much. This would be a good time to remind everyone that the Legacy Foundation is having a golf outing August 13th at the Valley Vista Golf Club in Greenwood. There's information and sign up on our website, and there's flyers in the headquarters office here as well. At this point, I believe our department adjutant may have some more announcements to make. This time we're actually calling you, John.
I've been called worse. Yeah. Thank you, Commander. I do have just a couple of real quick announcements and the $50 drawing, which is part of our normal procedures today. A reminder that we have the registration forms for the National Convention. I encourage you to get them and get them completed if you plan to attend. A reminder that the SAL cards are now available in Salon C. We have a silent auction. In his kindness and generosity, the department commander has allowed us to offer, in support of his project, a silent auction for 4 of the fossil watches. They're engraved by the department, on behalf of the department commander, and we encourage you to bid silently for those, and we'll take the highest bids and at the end of the day, and you have a watch, and the proceeds will benefit your program. And thank you for letting us do that. That was generous of you. Before I do the drawing, I don't have any privilege, but I'm going to ask you to encourage your comrades and your delegates to attend these sessions. We have some very distinguished folks who come to speak to us, and if you look about, you find the audience is sparse. We have over 380 posts. At an absolute minimum, every post has 1 delegate, at a minimum, if it holds its charter. This is really inadequate. And if you have comrades who are here, please encourage them to come to these sessions. This is the business of the American Legion Department of Indiana, and we need your support and participation. All right, Commander. And I didn't ask for that privilege, so you can't blame the commander, you can only blame me. All right, we're going to do the drawing for the $50 award. All righty. Okay, check your tickets. 2005 026. What? Uh-oh. Looks like 6 to me. Oh, you don't need to come up, sir. I'll just let you know. Well, come on up as long as you're down here. Show me the money. He doesn't trust us.
Show us the ticket. Now, this is 26.
2005, that's not the one we called. I don't
Yes,
think.
it is. You called 26.
Okay, hold on.
What'd you do with the ticket? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it's there. All righty. And I guess we'll give the other one to 2008, right? All right, there's your ticket.
Thank you, Sheriff.
And we also have,
There you go, your legacy foundation.
Oh, well, that's just wonderful. Thank you. Hey, here's this you donated back to Legacy Foundation.
oh, back to the Legacy
Make
Foundation.
that announcement.
This has been donated back to the Legacy Foundation, and I believe we're done here, sir, are we?
Okay, yeah.
Good.
Is this something we can do now?
Yeah, you just brought it and gave it to me. Oh, and you had $19,000 in donations this month.
Okay, each year at the Department of Indiana, through its Firefighter, EMS, and Law and Order of the Year Awards competition, we seek to honor the men and women who serve each day, striving to keep us all safe and secure in our homes, where we work, and where we pray and play. And we call them first responders. Each year, the competition for these awards is keen, and selecting the winner is not an easy task. I'd like to now call on the chairperson of our Firefighter EMS Law and Order Committee, Lori Bowman, to the podium for the purpose of the introduction and recognition. Lori. She's not gonna introduce the judges, right?
I know. Good morning, everybody. On the law officer firefighter EMS this year, we had 3 independent judges judge the packets, and they are here to receive their appreciation plaque. And they go to, hang on a second, Danielle Elwood. Bradford Moulton, and Jennifer Cobb. Thank you for judging our contests, and I will pass this over to our commander, Alan Conley.
Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Lori, and thank you for the volunteers that judged your award-winning entries. Our next guest became our 49th mayor of Indianapolis in 2016. Before taking office in 2016, Mayor Hogsett served as Indiana's Secretary of State and the United States Attorney for the Southern District of Indiana. A lifelong Hoosier, Mayor Hogsett has lived and worked in Indianapolis for more than 30 years. He and his wife, Steph, have 3 children. Please join me in welcoming the Mayor of Indianapolis, Joe Hogsett.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Commander, for that introduction, and my official responsibilities is to welcome all of you to the city of Indianapolis for this, the 102nd Annual American Legion Department of Indiana State Convention. Now, the Commander was kind enough to give you a little brief biography, and what I want to underscore, this being the 102nd annual convention, with mixed emotion because I'm revealing my age. I was proud to have the opportunity to speak to this state convention at your 70th, your 71st, and your 72nd state conventions. I'm not going to ask you whether you were there, but I was in a different capacity. But nonetheless, I'm proud to be here welcoming you to the city of Indianapolis. My name is Joe Hogsett, and I am the proud grandson of George Yates Hogsett. He was Army. He was a veteran of World War I. And he was a proud Legionnaire. I'm the proud son of Richard Haddon Hogsett. He was Navy. He was a veteran of World War II. My grandfather called World War I the Great War. My father called World War II the Big One. You can only imagine what the Hogsett household was like on the day of the Army-Navy football game. But I digress. I'm just proud to be with you today as the hometown for both the national and the state American Legion headquarters. Many Legionnaires in this convention are already quite familiar with the surroundings provided by the city. But for those who may not be, I do want to take the opportunity to encourage you to take in the sights this weekend when you can. We are, as you all know, a city with a unique appreciation for our veterans. Whether it's exploring the American Legion Mall or the Indiana War Memorial and, of course, our Monument Circle, which, by the way, was our nation's first monument to the common soldier. Indianapolis is second only to our nation's capital in places and spaces celebrating our military heroes. Every day, these statues and sculptures remind residents of this city and visitors to this city of the heroism, the sacrifice, and the commitment of our military veterans. Now, this past year, that commitment was on full display in American Legion posts throughout Indiana. Because like many institutions dedicated to community, the American Legion did not sit still in 2020. They continued offering meaningful and valuable services and assistance to our military veterans and to their families. As a hometown of the American Legion, I'm proud that Indianapolis shares in that commitment to our veterans. It's why our city's Department of Veterans Affairs, led capably by Sheena Linville, employs 4 veteran service officers. And among all 5 who make up our department, they connect with our city's brave men and brave women who are veterans and who sometimes need assistance to access the valuable resources that they've earned. Now, that work has allowed our VSOs to connect with over 800 veterans in our city, securing an average monthly compensation of over $1,000. And Sheena Linville is in the back. I want to call her out and thank her for her leadership of our Department of Veterans Affairs. Thank you, Sheena. I'm likewise excited to see this year's convention dedicated to our healthcare workers and our first responders. Boy, did we always need them. But did we need them over the last 18 months? By the way, as an aside, is anybody in the audience interested in being the mayor of Indianapolis? I could make arrangements for that. I mean, if you, well, talk to me afterwards if you are. You know, it's through the selflessness of our healthcare workers and our first responders and organizations like the American Legion that we were able to sustain ourselves and to come back in extraordinarily challenging times. So my time is up. The commander is already starting to give me the cutoff sign. So let me just conclude by thanking you once again, welcoming you to our city. We are indeed happy to have you. Spend as much money as you can. I wouldn't be mayor if I didn't say that. And my thanks to Commander Connolly and all of those in the American Legion Department of Indiana who make today, this weekend, and this convention possible. Enjoy the convention. You deserve it. May God bless each of you, and may God forever bless Indianapolis, the state of Indiana, and the United States of America.
I just learned that we received $19,000 in contributions. Thank you, one and all, for your generosity. And now, being no more business scheduled to come before this session of the convention, I ask Chaplain Kern to dismiss us with the benediction. Everyone, please rise.
Shall we be in an attitude of prayer? Gracious God, we thank you for this morning's session. We thank you for the deliveries that we have, questions that have been answered, awards that have been given. Give us your heavenly benediction as we depart now for our noon activities, and bring us back together in great celebration to continue this convention. We ask your benediction in your holy name. Amen.
With the colors of our nation in place, hand salute. 2. We are in recess until 1 p.m. Bring all your friends back with you this afternoon.